let's start off on that banking front, seeing that it's predominantly where interest was focused. GTB out with numbers yesterday. Your overall impressions there?
Yeah, thank you, Alishia. The performance of Guaranty Trust Bank, as we saw in their Q1 2011, was not a surprise to the market generally. Particularly to us, we are not surprised at the result GT Bank released, because for over 2 years now, Guaranty Trust Bank has proven that it's one of the best banks in Nigeria, and indeed the bank to beat in Nigeria. The Q1 result also showed that GT Bank is highly efficient-driven bank. And if you look at their gross earning, even though the gross earning dipped by 5.1% to about 46.6 billion, they were able to improve their profit after tax to about 13.2 billion. And with further 2.57 billion they realized from their divestment from InterSwitch, their profit after tax shot up by about 51.1% over last year to about 16.2 billion. Overall, the result was quite impressive and it's quite commendable. And if you also look at their loan book too, they grew their loan book by 6.5% to over 630 billion. Also, the customer deposit base also increased to about 860 billion. Overall, GTB has done well, and we expect that before the year end, they will even do more. And at the end of the day, they will be the bank to beat in Nigeria.
Well, currently we've got that bank seeing some investor interest. There seems to be some question mark around its assurance business specifically, though. GT Assurance currently trades at a trading PE of 27.3 times. That compared to peer averages of 6.8%, and the market believing that this is not really warranted. What are you making of the various segments within that GT Bank component that, of course, affects its bottom line?
You know, if you look at GTB performance in the market, especially as we saw in the Q1, GT Bank is a highly profitable bank, and even their share price have been, improving, even from their full year results that we saw as December 2010. And so we expect them to even move further. And following the divestment from InterSwitch, we also expect that GT will also divert from GT Assurance, and by the time all these funds come into GTB covers, we expect to see more profitability return in the market, and we also expect to see their share price move in the upward direction.
So you've got, despite that bank's insurers segment underperforming, the prospects for that bank still looking positive. Overall, within the banking sector, earnings aside, M&A activity keeping things very busy and ticking on that front. How are you assessing the situation at this stage and the kind of progress we're seeing when it comes to merger and acquisitions over in the banking sector?
Yeah, the current M&A activity in the Nigerian banking industry is moving on fine and is progressing as expected, although there have been hiccups here and there, especially with some shareholders going to the court in order to get injunction as for the merger process. But the market was particularly disturbed when the alliance between First Bank and Oshone Bank was stalled sometime last week. But overall, we expect that all the stakeholders involved should ensure that the M&A activities succeed in the market, because this M&A activity is very central in the resolution of both the intended and unintended consequences of CBN intervention in the banking industry in 2009. Hopefully, we expect that all the stakeholders will put together and ensure that all the issues that are involved are resolved adequately so that the M&A can come to fruitful conclusion.
Is it happening fast enough in your books?
I didn't get that.
Is it happening fast enough in your books, the progress that we're seeing?
Yeah, the progress is progressing. And I know that even though CBN has said they are not going to intervene with the process, the CBN have actually led the process to the shareholders and the management of their bank, to put the transactions through. Hopefully, I know in the coming months, before end of Q3, we hope to see some of this M&A, getting to its conclusive stage.
Let's take a look at the value of the Naira amidst the ongoing political situation in Nigeria. We've seen some kind of relief coming to the fore on that political front. What's your assessment of the direction the Naira is set to take, where we have seen quite a bit of depreciation against the dollar?
Well, Alishia, permit me to quickly say that the pocket of crisis that we have actually witnessed in Nigeria following the conclusion of the presidential election is regrettable, and indeed these have largely contributed to the depreciation in the value of the naira that we saw on the 19th of April. But I believe that this slide is even temporary, because if you look at the dollar, the value of naira depreciated about 153 naira to the dollar from about 151. But hopefully, as the government makes moves to address all these schemes in the north particularly, and as peace returns to all those trouble spots, I expect the value of the naira to move in the upward direction. And also, if you also look at the fact that in terms of the global commodity prices in our favor, and oil prices is well above our benchmark, our budget benchmark of $75 to a dollar, I expect CBN to approve more external reserve, which currently stands about at 3.8%. And with this, CBN will be in a better position to meet all the genuine demands in the WGS market. And if this is done, the current pressure that we are seeing on the naira will significantly abate, and naira will start to appreciate as expected.
So overall, your assessment of the kind of implications of President Jonathan's victory in the latest elections and the economy moving forward, because we know that ahead of the elections, a lot of concern had centered around possible continuation of policy.
Yes, prior to the election, there are a lot of tensions here and there, and but with the successful conclusion of the election, which has been adjudged to be one of the best Nigeria have ever had in recent history, even though it's one of the most expensive in the history of Nigeria, we expect that the economy should stabilize, particularly with the President Jonathan Goodluck emerging as the winner of the election as declared by the INEC in Nigeria. We expect to see, policy stability, we expect to see political stability, we expect to see continuity in the implementation of all those electoral promises. So as the President moves to implement all these promises he made prior to the election, there is high possibility that the country is going to make the expected progress.